chemicals are a real concern. Of course, fungicides, pesticides are no good. And also mold, mildew, fungus, bacteria, things like that are a real problem for folks that have low immune systems. So we're lucky enough that in the last 6 months or so, there's somebody in Vancouver who owns a laboratory who, although we have to keep him in his lab anonymous, he's willing to do tests for us. So now we're able to find out what the bacteria levels are, what the fungus levels are, what the THC levels are, and it's helping us to be a little choosier with our growers and to be a little choosier with the cannabis that we're purchasing. And also we're starting to understand more and more about the medicine that we are dispensing. Something else that makes the Compassion Club a little bit different is that we have no hierarchy. We do not believe in bosses and hierarchy at the Compassion Club. We are true consensus. We work hard at it. It takes a lot of time, but in the long run, it's really worthwhile. You end up coming out with very high quality results. And I believe that that's part of why the Compassion Club is successful. The people that I work with, I mean, I've had some really harebrained ideas that they've had to, edit me and sit down. No, Hillary, I'm not going to do that. And if it had been hierarchy and I just been able to run off with my own idea, it wouldn't have been so successful. Let's give a consensus at little punch.
Only way it works.
So we've had some interesting stories over the years as our relationship with the police has progressed. After a few months of operating in Vancouver, I had 50 clients who all had prescriptions from their doctor, and we decided to do a little bit of media at that time. And in the newspaper the next day, the police responded, and the headline was, "They have bigger fish to fry," essentially. And they have a few conditions. They said that if they're not a capitalist-focused organization, they're not distributing cannabis to children, and they're focused on the medicinal aspects, they're a low priority, and we're not interested. So we've basically been following those very simple, very obvious guidelines, and we really haven't had any trouble with the Vancouver police in our area. Interestingly enough, we've had several break-ins. And although break-ins suck, and you lose your CDs, and you lose your samples, and you lose maybe a scale, and whatever else you don't have nailed down, it's an interesting opportunity to have discussion with police officers. So the first time that we got broken into, and there was an officer down at the club, he was there by himself, and I gave him a tour through because the person who had broken in had come in and out of a few different spots, and he came through the smoking lounge. What exactly is this place? So I explained it to him, and he asked if we had any community opposition, and at that point there was a little church group down the street that wasn't too keen on us. And I told him that, and he interpreted that I was saying that, Christians don't agree with medical marijuana. We got into a bit of debate, we finally got it cleared up. And then as he was leaving, there's this huge police officer with a big gun on his hip. He leans down, he puts his hand on my shoulder and says, "You girls are doing good Christian work here." Most recently, our building was under construction. Our landlord was doing some renovations, and he changed a door on us in the back. I didn't realize that he changed it. And so one of our security bolts was missing. And our building's kind of strange. It's got weird little alleys that go all over the place, like many of the buildings here. So in the middle of the night, these guys from the apartment building out back that's connected to our building broke in 800-pound safe that we keep our cannabis and some of our money and whatnot in. And they got it on a dolly, and they bashed the crap out of the front door, couldn't get it out. Took it out the back door, wouldn't fit up this little alley, so they schlepped this huge safe up a flight of stairs in the apartment building, across the floor, down another flight of stairs, and they're just about to load it onto the back of a stolen truck when the police came because our landlord had phoned them. So this is about 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock in the morning, I get a call from that officer who tells me, he didn't want to phone, wake me up too early, but that there was a break-in, and that he's been there guarding our safe, and he'll stay there until we get there to move it. Now this safe stunk. It had probably 25 or 30 pounds of herb in it, and it had been getting moved around and bashed, and there was this big stink cloud around it. And I go down to the club to try and find some folks to help me move the safe back inside. And sure enough, right outside the building is a squad car, and standing in front of the safe is this officer. And there was no doubt, he knew what was in it. So those stories give me a lot of hope, when I heard about had happened was there was a woman probably in her late 50s or so that is from the west side of Vancouver. So it's kind of our nicer neighborhood. And she was down in downtown East Side, which is like the sort of heroin district really. So we have a lot of our addiction issues and AIDS issues and whatnot. But you can pretty much score anything you want down there. And she was down there looking for a bag of weed for her sister, who was suffering from cancer and was going through chemotherapy. So she was down there, she was trying to score a bag of weed, somebody stole her purse, she's running down the street after this guy, trying to get her purse back. A cop stops him, gives her purse, he's like, lady, what are you doing down here? And apparently this woman just ripped into this cop. I'm down here trying to find some pot for my sister, she's sick, and I'm gonna come down here and do these assholes more. And he's like, whoa, lady, there's a place where people like you can bully you. Have you ever heard of the compassion fund? Doctor referrals are one thing, and police referrals, we accept them as well. So the only trouble that we have politically really is from our city halls, when there's some government that's a pain in the ass, and they try and badger us with bylaws and try and badger our landlord with bylaws. And the courts ordered them to be returned, and they ended up being returned to both of these different exemptees by cops in uniform in squad cars delivering our cannabis.
How much pot was missing?
Oh, I can't remember some. Couple grams anyway.
The cops are stressed out.